Hello?
Welcome.
This is the two cities.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I hate to admit this, but I would call myself a foodie. I think that comes with time because when I was little, I was simply happy with pasta and butter, but now I get excited when a specialty plate is placed before me. Food is our everything, and to share that joy of what the chef made and what I'm going to eat really shows a special connection. That's why restaurants are so special. It connects us to the artist chef and puts us on a plane where we all appreciate the food that we most desperately need. Welcome to another Tales of Two Cities episode. Grab a plate, sit down, and enjoy this delectable restaurant history experience with us.
The White Eagle Saloon and Rock and Roll Hotel has two stories. One of a historic building which remains a popular hub for Portlanders to hang out, and its origin story, filled with sex, booze, and murder. The building has two floors. The second floor, with 13 original rooms used for guests who get to listen to the music downstairs for free. The main floor has a stage for musical entertainment from acoustic to rock and roll. There's also a dining area and bar, which they call the saloon. While it remains a bustling night spot in Portland, it's also one of the most haunted buildings. Built in 1905 by Polish immigrants, Bronislaw Sobolewski and William Hirsko, it began as a watering hole for the Polish workers who lived in the then residential neighborhood. It is also known as a place where St. Stanislaus, which was the first Polish Catholic church in the West Coast, held their meetings. But the neighborhood became more industrialized, and the visitors to the saloon began to change. More dock workers, rail workers, and factory workers began to frequent the establishment. This changed the dynamic of the bar, and soon food, booze, and other pleasures were offered at the saloon. White Eagle gained a reputation as a place that respectable society would not be. Some say that male customers were shanghaied onto ships who needed men. There were reports of a tunnel system under the bar used to shuffle drunk men onto ships for slave labor. If you want to know more about this, check out our episode on underground cities, places long forgotten. But for now, let's go back to the White Eagle Saloon and the many entities there. Sam, a housekeeper, has been seen peeking through the windows. Rose, a prostitute, said to have been murdered at the hotel, is reported to be the ghost responsible for cold hands that touch visitors. Others are unable to get out of their bed when they wake up in the morning, and some notice that items have moved on their own. Employees have also fallen downstairs as if pushed, but no one was there. The basement was the housing for women of color who were prostitutes for the White Eagle. Black women, Asian women, and some say teens from South America were among the ladies of the night housed there. Some say that South American teens were kidnapped by sailors to port towns such as Portland and ended up sex slaves in basements and other brothels. Psychics have reported the area as hostile. There can be faint music heard at times, and doors to freezers in the basement open and close on their own. Coins often fall from the ceiling. The second floor rooms were used by the brothel. The rooms were not rented for a number of years because of the immense amount of paranormal activity. Just recently, the rooms were renovated and reopened at a low cost, though the spirits are still said to haunt them. Rose was a young prostitute who fell in love with a customer. When her boyfriend proposed, she feared the owner of the bar would be angry and hurt her. But it was her boyfriend who killed her in a mad rage after she denied his proposal. The sounds of a woman crying could be heard. They are often believed to be Rose, mourning the life that could have been. Sam was the housekeeper who lived upstairs. He was just a child when he moved in and began work. He was sort of adopted by the owner who gave him meals, a room, and a job. He stayed at the saloon his whole life and died in his room. People report seeing him upstairs in the windows. Much like freezer doors in the basement, all the doors and windows to the 13 rooms have been known to open and close when they please. Teardrop-shaped apparitions have also been seen in both the basement and the rooms. The main floor has its own haunts. Chairs move by themselves, utensils and cooking tools fly around the kitchen on their own. To control the crowds that at times could be rowdy, a bouncer was hired, and one night he disappeared, never to be seen again. He's believed to have been killed or possibly shanghaied, but no one knows for sure. Because of the nature of bars and rowdy dock workers, there were often fights and men were very likely killed here. Perhaps that's why Sam wanders the first floor, checking bathrooms on his rounds. He's been known to flush toilets when men forget to flush, and toilet paper has been known to fly around on its own in the ladies' room. But perhaps the scariest haunt began on the main floor, but ended in the basement, when a waitress was pushed downstairs, leaving her with minor injuries. It's your turn now.
To really get into the history of the Cicada Restaurant, we have to begin with James Oviatt. In 1906, at the age of 18, James Oviatt left Salt Lake City for Los Angeles, where he began a career in haberdashery at Desmond's department store. For those that don't know what haberdashery means, because I sure didn't.
He's a hat maker.
Haberdashery is a men's clothing and accessories salesman. I had to look it up because I thought, oh, it's a hat maker. And then I looked it up and they're like, no.
Whatever.
After rising rapidly through Desmond's ranks, he opened an executive men's shop with a business partner, Frank Alexander, in 1911. It became extremely successful to the point that it became the sought-after place for celebrities. In 1925, on one of his many trips to Paris in search for fine fabrics, he became captivated by the beauty of Art Deco, which became the inspiration for his eventual building. The Oviatt Building, erected in 1925, was the first Art Deco building in Los Angeles. Designed by Albert Walker and Percy Eisen, it was embellished with French marble and more than 30 tons of Lalique's art glass, the largest shipment of its kind ever to pass through the Panama Canal. Oviatt's penthouse was furnished with Lalique's custom lighting treatments and exquisite floors and cabinetry by the celebrated French firm Satiate et Fils. It had a Turkish bath, a rooftop garden, and a pool with imported sand from France. The splendor in the interior was matched by a bi-level rooftop gardens, which boasted a swimming pool, tennis court, putting green, clock tower, and beach of imported Riviera sand. Hailed by Oviatt's contemporaries as a, quote, castle in the air, end quote, Oviatt and his wife Mary entertained most of the time at their house, and they even signed photographs for their friends and clients like John Barrymore, Errol Flynn, Leslie Howard, Charles Boyer, and Howard Hughes. By 1969, Oviatt and Alexander were over. The haberdashery closed, but the Oviatts continued to occupy the penthouse until their deaths by the early 1970s. In 1978, the Oviatt Building was declared a cultural monument, and in 1983 it was listed in the National Register of Historic Places. It is also the location for a lot of the American Horror Story hotel shoots, especially the exterior for the Cortez. And as for Oviatt, well, he fell down a flight of steps in his apartment at night and never fully recovered from his injuries. In a way, the building killed him. The Oviatt penthouse and lobby have been painstakingly restored to its former splendor. The acclaimed Cicada Restaurant occupies the original site of the Oviatt, and the penthouse continues its tradition in hospitality and glamour as an executive reception venue. The Cicada Restaurant is near Pershing Square at Olive and 6th. The Cicada is open for dinner and Sunday night cocktails, and is used for private events. The dinner menu contains things like tuna tartare, basil, gnocchi, filet mignon, and pistachio-crusted Atlantic salmon. The restaurant states, quote, from the 30-foot ceiling to the plush custom-designed bar and lounge, Cicada has combined 1920s Art Deco with contemporary design elements to create an extraordinary atmosphere. The European style is further complemented by a sophisticated Northern Italian menu. 15,000 square feet, ideal for weddings, special events, and private parties. James Oviatt lived in the penthouse with business partner James Alexander. Many have still seen Oviatt in his home, and people have smelled his pipe smoke as well. Since the ground floor was converted to a restaurant, strange things have been reported to happen there as well. The big haberdashery drawers and reservation book are often found open, probably previous spirits still working at their job. Chairs and doors, of course, move on their own. A great way to spice up an evening.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Tales from Two Cities. If you want more, we have multiple episodes available for download on iTunes and SoundCloud, and you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Give us suggestions on ideas for episodes or locations, or maybe there's something you really like that we did and you want more of it.
Yes.
Let us know. Until next time.